Hello and welcome back to Compiler Programming. In between episodes, as I mentioned in the last one, I've added support for the OR operator, which is basically exactly the same as the AND operator. The only difference is whereas here we skip this second branch if the value is so here we go there if the value is truthy, here we go there if the value is faulty. So here we do compare equal to 0, right, which is the test for the falsy value. Okay, the next thing I want to have, which is really nice to have if you're going to be writing a tokenizer, especially if you only have very bare bones support for different kinds of stuff in the language, is to have, there are different names for it. You can have like multi-way ifs or pattern matching statements. I mean, we're not going to really do like full-on pattern matching that also creates variables, not the least because we don't really have variables for to speak of. But I do want to have a bit more than just bare bones if. It shouldn't be too difficult to implement in this case, but let's see how it goes. So here's the idea. Should support multi-way if or case statement. I don't know, case block. I'm not sure exactly how this thing is supposed to be called. But here's the idea. We get an argument, and then instead of just saying if blah, 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 we create a single statement where we compare this stuff however we want. And there could be probably a version with nicer kind of syntax. But we will do really just bare bones, which is similar to if, else, if, else, if, else, if, else, right? So this kind of stuff. It is also similar to the switch in C, but the switch in C expects constants as conditions, and I want to be able to put anything in the condition. So it is really if, else, if, else, if, else. Okay. So how it's gonna look like? I think I will take the syntax from Haskell, I believe, where you say case and then something, and afterwards you create kind of matching statements. And the trick is if you get a kind of a value here, so in our case an immediate, then it is implicitly assumed that you are comparing it with the thing, same as you do in switch statements. And if you put something else, then you would have like you actually run that comparison. So let's try this out. I'm going to have like of value from S64 or S32 42. Then we say that is this return value from S32. What should we do? I just want to have something that has kind of 3 branches, but we don't really have signed the numbers correctly yet, or so I'm not sure we can do like comparison stuff correctly. So let's just do, if it's 42, we return 42. If it is less number number value from S32 42, then we return 0. And otherwise we will return, what will return? Well, let's return 100, whatever, doesn't really matter. And we need to have an else or an otherwise or something like this in here. And this is just an equivalent of saying that's of like ik 1 1. So like basically it's a always true condition more or less. And right now we will implement it that way, but obviously later on we could optimize, or maybe we could optimize it right away. I'm not sure. Let's just start with this, and I will first remove even this version, and maybe we will even remove this, and as usual try to figure out how this is gonna look like, you know, for with the building blocks that we have. Okay, so let's say if we pass 42, then we expect it to be equal to 42. If we pass 32, we expect it to be 0. And if we pass, let's just say 52, we expect it to equal 100. But for now, we'll remove that one. We need to change the type. So type is S32 to, let's say, S32. And this will need to be value from S32. And these two. Okay. S32 to S32. Good. We can even run a test and see them fail miserably. And it didn't even compile. Yeah, because we have number, but we're not using it. Okay. So how would that look like? Obviously, when we turn it into a macro, we will need probably to have a for loop, like we do with every other stuff. But for now, let's just lay it out. Okay. If number is so ik number value from S32 42, then we return number. But the trick is it starts here, right? If we just let this continue, we cannot do another if here. Because the idea is, like, especially imagine that here we don't have a return, but we have something else, then it just not gonna work. To show you, let's imagine that I wrote this like this. Values, set value star result is a reserve stack of builder descriptor S32, and here I just do assign to result. So I say result is number, and if it is less than 42, then I assign result. Sorry, assigned is here. Assignment is wrong. And of course, it needs to be a move value. We are not writing C after all. Move value builder result number, right? And here we have move value result value from S32 0. We don't need this, right? We'll just do it like so. But if you look right now, you can have issues, especially let's say I don't do this as 42, but I do it as 100. In the semantics of if else, so if I said here like else if, which we don't have, then everything is fine. We would still, these tests would still pass, or let's say 50. Then everything is fine. But if we just leave it as if, then we have an issue that we will actually end up with the wrong answer. To not have that, and the way else if works, I believe, is that you create a label, star like end label, break label, and then you just jump to that label. Let me grab the jump. Maybe I should create a goto macro, which essentially just will do this stuff for us. But it's fine. We can live with it for now. So if we match one of the branches, we execute whatever is supposed to be executed, and then we jump to somewhere over here where the label is actually resolved to, and here we'll have return result, something like this. And this happens essentially in every branch, and we don't really need it in the else branch, so long as the else branch is the last one, but to be safe, maybe we will just add it in else branch as well. And the else branch is, well, let's just say we sort of don't need it. Let's just say it always has to be at the end, otherwise it won't work as expected. So in else branch, we say that the result is 100. So let's see if what I come up with builds, and if it works. A label needs to be an end label, and builder needs to be this stuff. Maybe to help us later transition this code, we can already do function filter star builder is like so, and we remove all of this jazz already, just to prepare for making it a macro. Okay. Do we have builder? No, we don't. Let's check again. Okay, that actually builds, and we can run all the tests, I guess, and see if these tests actually pass. Okay, looks like I didn't screw up the logic. And now our job is very simple. We just want to turn this code into something that looks a bit more straightforward. And the reason it would be pretty tricky to do it with a regular if statement. Like you might be asking, why don't you just support like else? Well, the problem is that we can't do really look ahead very well. So the way we would implement this, if you had an AST, is you would look, oh, okay, I have an if node. Is this if node followed by an else node? Then I will do something. But since we have all of this in line and kind of procedural, it would be pretty tricky to make this work. So I prefer to have this way anyway, and in a sense we can even get rid of if statement. I think in the language itself there will be no if statement, there will be only this form, because it's a bit nicer. Another thing to think about is that we could turn this stuff into an expression rather than a bunch of statements, but the whole topic about expression I want to cover separately, so that's gonna be another day. Okay, getting back to this stuff. We want to have, so result is actually not part of this, at least right now. We want to have a label, and then each of is basically an if that at the end jumps to that label. And if we are looking at else, it's just something that will not really do anything. So we can even start writing this stuff here and then move them to the right file. Good. Okay, so case. In reality, we don't really need an argument for this. So I would say actually we call it maybe match, and then maybe call this case. Maybe I like this better. So it will look like this. Match, and then case, case, and else, or maybe we call it otherwise, or case any. I like case any. Good. So this is stuff that we want. We want match, we want case, and we want case any. Well, the funny part is if we always expect case any to be at the end, then we don't really need to do anything. This literally expands to nothing because blocks are allowed in C, and if you look here, this is our any stuff, right? So this is not really required. And as far as case goes, this is going to be the most tricky one. So we have, obviously we have condition, but what it expands to again is rather straightforward. The only trick is that it has to go inside of an if. So I guess we actually need to, where is our if? Yeah, I think we'll have to do this manually. We can't use an if statement because yeah, that we have to do things. Okay, and let's look at what our if actually does. So it creates a label, and at the end of the if, it pushes an instruction to do what? To jump, like, so if the condition is false, you jump to there. But what we want is to add another one, and I think we can use comma expression here and C would be okay with it because they're both of the same type, I believe, so that should be fine. We call this not end label, but something more verbose, page end label, something like this, I guess. And this would be what is inside of this match. This is what we'll do. Okay, that looks good to me. And we have condition. It's actually supposed to be called value, I guess. And builder is builder. Sounds good. Now we need to have a match. So that's also not too tough. We will need to have the same for loop stuff. No, we don't need this. So match is essentially an if, but label, just instead of make if, it goes directly make label. Yeah. Sounds about right. It's called match end label. Our compiler might start to complain that we have nested dummy things, which we could get rid of, I guess, but let's see if it actually complains. So let's do this. And let's remove on this stuff. Because the only thing you have to change is, I think it's like this. Yeah, equal 42. Oh yeah, another tricky part. Honestly, I'm not sure I even want to do this. I think I will keep it the way it was. Because now we don't pass this to here, and the whole propagating of a number, it's just going to be not very interesting to implement. I'd rather do it this way. Okay. Match, case, any, and return. Actually, we we supposed to do a move here, maybe. Oh, let's keep it that way. It's fine. Does it build? Yeah, so this is what I was afraid of. First of all, result, yeah, we don't need this really, but we have an error about the dummy being a problem, and I think I will disable this warning because that's how our macros in general work. So we're just gonna get rid of this. VD4456, and basically when I have it with all the warnings enabled, so you have this /w all, but if I want to disable particular one, you can do /wd and then the number that you see here. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, we have another unnecessary variable, but besides that, it looks like it at least compiles, but let's see if it does work. Cool, it does work. The only thing that we now have to do is clean up all of this stuff, take all of this out, move it to the right place. Maybe here, right after if builder is a good place for this. Recheck that everything works like it should. Everything is great. So here we have implemented a new feature. Now we have a proper if, else, if, and I think I like this in general slightly better. We can extend it in a few ways. That maybe it would be nice if it returned an expression. So like I don't need to do this. I could like return this whole image, but this is something for another day. For today, I thank you very much for watching and see you next time.